project we are going to need a glue gun, E6000, white glue, a foam brush, a hanging wire basket, a coconut liner, clay pots. We are going to need 2 packs, foam that we are going to be using for the head and the tail. I got 2 just in case to see which one I could use better. Floral moss. I actually use floral moss as well as reindeer moss. I got 3 packs. The first step is to remove the wires from the hanging basket. With this basket, it is done fairly easy because they are clips, so you could just clip it right off. You would want to do that to all 3 sides. You would also want to remove the price tag. Next would be to grab the coconut liner and as well cut off the price tag. And this we are going to be placing inside of the wire basket firmly around all the edges. Here I flipped it over just so I could firmly secure it from the inside as well. I just pushed in with some force to make sure that they are properly secured. Next step is to grab your clay pots that we are going to be using for the feet of the turtle. Essentially what we are going to be doing is trying to place these pots centrally so they can act as the feet for the turtle. So here I'm just trying to figure out where I want to place them. I decided to place the pots against the little hook that used to be where the clip was hanging from, in order for it to have a little bit more stability so it could lean against that little hook. So now we're going to glue the pots together to the basket. I use E6000 as well as some hot glue. To grab our E6000 and place it on the bottom of the clay pot. I also used a combination of E6000 with hot glue. So now I'm going to place the clay pot right against that little hook right there so it can have a little bit more stability. You want to press down firmly to make sure that the glue attached to the wire. Next, we would want to do the same to the rest of the 3 pots. So here I'm just going over with some hot glue and putting some in the edges that I might have missed in order to firmly secure it in place. Next, you would want to place something heavy on it so it could press down and the glue could attach to the wire. After that, I also went back with some more E6000 to secure it in place I eventually ended up using a brick because the dog food basket was too light. You're going to want to let it dry overnight, so the next step is to make the head and the tail for the turtle. For this one, I decided to use this shape of foam, and I was able to get both the head and the tail out of it. What I'm going to do is draw a little semicircle and cut the edges off to be used as the head for the turtle. So with that, I just grabbed my Sharpie and outlined a sort of oval shape for the head. The next thing I did was to grab my knife and to cut along where I put the lines. An optional step is to file down the foam to make it more even. You don't really have to do this, but I decided to do it. Next, by using the leftover piece that I had from the head, I cut a similar shape to the head except smaller to be used for the turtle's tail. Now we are officially going to start putting the turtle together. For this, I decided to use some reindeer moss. And we are going to put that on both the head and the tail. So what I initially thought was going to be a good idea was to use the white glue and to put it on the foam and to use a foam brush and spread that around. However, when it came time to actually put on the moss on the foam, it wasn't sticking on at all. So then I decided to go for the hot glue, and the hot glue worked so much better. So what you would do is to put the reindeer moss all over the turtle's head. However, I didn't do it on the bottom, nor on the flat side of the turtle because we are going to glue that to the basket. This is what the head and the tail came out to look like. Now we are going to start putting this turtle together, and I just gave it a shake to make sure everything was on correctly. As you can see here, I didn't put any moss underneath the head. Now I just figured out where I wanted to place the head and glued it on the basket with some hot glue. And you would want to do the same with the tail. Now that we have the head and tail attached, we want to cover everything with moss. For the majority of the turtle, I decided to use floral moss. I grabbed some reindeer moss that I used for the head and the tail and mixed it in with the floral moss in random places. Here I have finally finished putting the floral moss all over the forelegs. I decided not to cover the entire pots completely because I would assume that you wouldn't be able to see it when it was on the floor. Now what I'm going to do is cover the whole thing with moss. Here we can see that I have finally finished covering up the entire turtle with moss. I mixed both floral moss and reindeer moss all over the turtle, although for the majority of part I used floral moss because I found it much more easier to glue on than reindeer moss. In total, I spent about $10. I used $3 for floral and reindeer moss. I ended up using 2 floral moss and 1 reindeer moss package. $1 for the coconut liner, $1 for the wire hanging basket, $2 for 2 packs of small pots, $1 for the foam that I used for the head and the tail, and about $2 for glue sticks. Everything was $1 for each because I got everything from the Dollar Tree. Here are some additional things that you could do to the turtle. I decided to buy some fox succulents and to place them around the turtle. Here's what it came out to look like with all the succulents in place.